Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of DA Sports Super Sports Monday, special Tuesday edition. I'm David Statman, sports editor of the Daily Athenaeum, alongside associate sports editor Mr. Christopher Columbus Jackson. Back here on campus after spring break, NCAA tournament in full swing. WVU unfortunately knocked out early. We can't all be Syracuse, Chris. Can't all be Syracuse.
I burned my bracket after day one. Michigan State ruined everything for me.
My bracket lasted surprisingly long, but my big problem was I picked WVU to win the championship.
Well, that was a really stupid pick. Then again, I picked Michigan State, so I have no reason to
Exactly. So, we're kind of both in the same boat. But let's talk about the WVU game, because I don't think anyone in the world really had WVU seriously losing to Stephen F. Austin. There are people talking about, Stephen F. Austin's also a pressing team. They could give WVU a lot of issues, but after what WVU showed in the Big 12 tournament, I don't think anyone seriously thought that they were going to lose.
No,
what
not
the
at
heck
all.
happened?
They beat Oklahoma in the Big 12 semis, who's now in the Final Four. No one expects this. Everyone's thinking, okay, they could be a Final Four team. All of a sudden, Thomas walk up and Stephen F. Austin come in. Just send them home real early.
I mean, that was definitely one of WVU's worst performances just all around the entire season. They really did not deserve to win that game, and it was the right result. But let's just talk about Thomas Walkup for a second. That dude played some ball, man. 33 points on 15 shots. He gets to the line 20 times. He makes 19 free throws, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals. He did everything perfectly the entire game.
Let's not forget, he looked great against Notre Dame, too. He could do everything out there. Players just could not stop him. He's that guy you hate as an opponent.
He played 80 minutes of basketball in the NCAA tournament. About 79 of them were perfect. And in that last minute against Notre Dame, everything kind of just crashed and burned. But, Stephen F. Austin they were a 14 seed. We knew they had a really good pedigree coming in, being 53-1 in the Southland Conference over the last 3 years. They had won 3 straight Southland conferences. They had been to the NCAA tournament. They had actually won an NCAA tournament game 2 years ago. We knew that they were legit, but they just looked like the better team.
And let's look at these stats, too. Just points off turnovers was an atrocity. Stephen F. Austin owned that category 29-4.
Against WVU.
Yeah.
Atrocity is a really good word for it. Especially because, WVU turns the ball over 22 times. And Bob Huggins said before they went up to Brooklyn that you don't really need to press WVU to get them to turn the ball over 20 times. But they pressed them and they turned it over 22 times. And even when they did get the ball up the court and got a shot off, they shoot 30.8% from the field.
Let's look at this, too. Second half, they take 28 shots. They make 7.
That's awful.
And Jay Page said after the game, they practiced like crap and they played like crap.
Yeah.
That was right.
Tariq Phillip, 0 for 6. He turned the ball over 6 times. Jay Page, like you said, 4 of 13. Javon Carter turned the ball over 4 times. He was 1 of 7. Daxter Miles only got 3 shots off. If you can't make shots, you can't set up the press.
Nope.
And Stephen F. Austin only turned the ball over 7 times.
Devin Williams was the team's only hope, honestly, and he was really upset after the game, and you can't blame him.
And even he only shot 3 of 10. He had 17 rebounds, and he was really the one real interior force. I thought Issa Ahmad played a pretty decent game.
He played really good at the start, too.
He
hit a couple early threes.
He's starting to... I thought he showed some signs in the Big 12 tournament, and I thought he had a good game. He hit those 2 threes. He came in with 2 threes on the season, then he hit 2 threes. #Threesa. I really wanted that to become a thing, and we had to wait until the last game of the entire season for it to become a thing, and I feel cheated, personally. I feel cheated. But maybe that's going to be something... he's got a few more years there, so maybe that'll be something that he can carry over.
I guess we'll find out.
We'll find out. It's just, where does WVU go from here?
Well, you have to look at it, though, too. That was one game. They've got a lot of great players returning, just a lot of great defensive players. Most of these guys are returning. You've got Williams even announced he's coming back for one more season, which is big.
It is big.
And you've got Issa looked good. Javon Carter, just a heck of a defender. He shows his flashes offensively at times, but he can work in consistency.
you have to look at the starting five, and all five are returning. You have to wonder if they're going to press the same way that they did these last 2 years, where it was a constant thing, instead of just a change-up option like Huggins has had over the last few years. But it's going to be really interesting to watch. Some promising prospects coming in. I'm a big fan of Sagaba Kanate, who's just a dunk machine. So we're going to see how that works out, but definitely a lot of talent returning for this team. And, there's no reason that they can't go out next year and contend the same way that they contended this year.
Yeah, and it looks like we'll have Devin. He wants to be more of a vocal leader. Tariq Phillip always leads by example, too. He'll probably be a vocal leader as well.
It was just an absolutely nuts game, the Stephen F. Austin game, to see a 3 seed, someone that people thought might be a real dark horse national title contender, WU, just get whooped by a 14 seed. But it was really just kind of representative of how nuts the first 2 rounds of the entire tournament was. I mean, you had buzzer beaters, half-court shots.
Northern Iowa blows a 12-point lead. That was unlike anything I've ever seen.
Nothing like that has literally ever happened before in the history of man. And they get to the second round after hitting a half-court buzzer beater, and then they lose in the second round by choking away the biggest lead ever. I mean, that was one of the most insane tournament runs of all time from Northern Iowa.
I'm still speechless about it, and I probably always will be. I turned that game off with a minute left because I'm like, okay, this game is over.
I didn't turn it off because it was like the last game, I think. And so there's nothing else on. I was like, I'll just ride this out to the end. I like Northern Iowa. I want to see them win. I like them.
Well, I was just like, I'm going out to dinner. I'm like, may as well go early because this thing's over. Then get there.
Well, right, because you're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And so I'm chilling, and it's like 11 o'clock, and so I'm just like, all right, I got nothing else to do. But, after how much insanity happened those first 2 rounds, it really looked like it was going to still end up being pretty chalk at the end. We're going to have basically all 1s and 2s in the Elite Eight and the Final Four. But nobody counted on the Syracuse Orange.
Jimmy Boeheim.
My team.
That's spelled with a B-A-E, too. Let's remember that, folks.
Boeheim.
Yep.
Boeheim. Buddy, listen, I've been a Syracuse fan my entire life. This is the worst Syracuse team I have ever watched. They are trash. It's Michael Benajay, 2 freshmen, and just nothing. It's a wasteland. And Jimmy Boeheim got them to the Final Four.
It's also, they call it March Madness for a reason.
They do.
And Syracuse is in the Final Four.
And for Michigan State, it was March Sadness.
I was sad, too.
And that's really the main reason why Syracuse got that far, because they wouldn't have beaten Michigan State in a trillion years. But what an insane run, because Syracuse was not good. They were not a good basketball team. They lost to St. John's, and then after St. John's beat Syracuse, St. John's lost 21 of the next 22.
St. John's lost to a D2 team in the preseason
they lost
by 25 points.
By 30 points, yeah. Cuse lost to that team. They end up blowing out Dayton. They got a good break when Middle Tennessee beat Michigan State. They blow out Middle Tennessee. They're down big against Gonzaga. They come back and win. They're down huge in the second half against Virginia, go on the most insane run ever. They win that game. And with North Carolina and the winner of Oklahoma and Villanova waiting, that's going to be tough, but with their momentum, I really don't see any reason why they can't actually just go win it.
At this point, who knows? My thing is they got to play North Carolina. That's a tough team, too. But anything can happen.
Just the wild card is their press.
Yep, it is.
Everyone knows about the 2-3 zone. But Jimmy Boeheim's basically going with the polar opposite of the 2-3 zone as a changeup. And it wrecked UVA. With all their veterans and all their players, and London Parantis, who's one of the calmest point guards in the league. And now they got to run up against Marcus Page and Bryce Johnson. That's a good team.
Now, what are your Final Four picks?
It's unfair because I'm a Cuse fan, and I don't want to be biased because last time I was biased, I picked WVU to win the NCAA tournament, and we all know how that turned out. So, realistically, I see North Carolina over Cuse. I see Oklahoma over Villanova. I think Oklahoma's going to win it. They've got the best player in the tournament. He's on fire. Buddy Hield.
Oh, I agree too, but Oklahoma UNC is going to be a great game. You saw in the Sweet 16, Marcus Page is baiting threes all day. That was the Marcus Page we've been waiting to see this season.
All season. And, Bryce Johnson can basically put up 20-15, in his sleep. So, and Villanova's playing fantastic ball. They just knocked out the best team in the country. They've peaked at the right time. They're a veteran team led by, they've got Ochefu, Archidiakono, Hart, Jenkins. They've all been there. That's a really, really good team. And then Cuse is the wild card. Cuse is the complete wild card, and we have no idea. They could go out on Saturday against, North Carolina and lose by 40, or they could win. We have no idea. That's just the way it's gone. But, enough about the NCAA tournament, obviously. Still a sore subject for a lot of WVU fans after, the Stephen F. Austin game and having to watch the team that they beat in the Big 12 tournament roll on to the Final Four and maybe win a national title.
I'm sorry, Morgantown.
Yeah,
my apologies.
We're both sorry, Morgantown. We're really sorry. But, I think it would be easy for WVU fans to just sort of pack it in after such a bad loss and just sort of say, well, I'll just slink back into my hole and I'm going to not pay attention to sports until the football season starts up. But I think that would be a mistake because WVU baseball season's now in full swing. We've talked about it in the past couple of weeks, so this is a really promising team. We're starting to get a really good look at just the makeup of this team. And like we've said before, a lot of youth, but the freshman class looks tremendous.
I haven't seen many freshman classes like this year. I don't think anyone can name one in the past that's been this good. You've got Golewski. He's on fire.
Golewski might be the best all-around player on the team.
He lays down the most beautiful bunts I have ever seen, and you can attest to that in that Radford game.
I can. And he just can do a little bit of everything. He's hitting over 300 this year. He's got a great glove. He's a fantastic athlete. He's fast, really, fundamentally sound. They talk about, Mazey and his coaching staff, they just rave about, his willingness to learn and adapt and his ability to pick things up really fast. And he might be the best all-around player on this team already. He's played 20 games in college.
He's only one of 3 players on the team to play in all 20 games, and he's a freshman.
Yeah. And, one of the other ones is Darius Hill, who's also a freshman. He's hitting .325.
And he's the most uncoordinated player Mazey's ever seen.
But he can hit a baseball.
Oh, he can. And also, we need to give a congratulations to Randy Mazey. Just notched his 100th career win in West Virginia.
Absolutely. And he was robbed of the chance to win number 101 because they had a snow out in Kansas lost the last game of that series because there was too much snow in late March.
Rumor has it the 2 teams were going to have a snowball fight.
Oh, man.
Who would win?
I would say probably, I don't know. WVU's not like they have anyone who throws hard. Not really. So, Ross Vance is just going to throw sidearm snowballs 40 miles an hour. Yeah. But, I have no idea. But I would go with WVU just out of pure homerism that they would win that snowball fight. But, you got to give a lot of credit. This is a team that has, they can hit up and down the lineup. We haven't really seen that type of depth in the lineup the last few years from WVU. The pitching staff is a very veteran one. It was really kind of heartbreaking the last weekend. They go down to Fort Worth and they face TCU. One of the best teams in the country. And they really should have won that first game. They were up 6-3 going into, I think it was the 8th inning. And they give up 7 runs and they lose 10-6. Really, and it would have been great for this young team to go out in that first game of the series against the best team they've played all year. And maybe, the best team they'll play all year. And get a win. Well, that could really spark them, but it didn't happen.
We have to give them credit here, too. They get swept at TCU. I know that's a really great team, one of the best out there. Then they lose to Penn State. So that's 4 straight losses. Any young team you'd see, maybe they don't know how to handle it quite yet. They go into Kansas series, even though Kansas isn't the best baseball team out there. But they could still lose both games and just extend that. But they regrouped, got both wins before that snow cancellation. Now they're 2-3 in the Big 12 and 12-8 overall.
Yeah. And they've got a good chance to to make a nice run. They've got Canisius coming up this week, a baseball powerhouse, obviously, Canisius. And then they've got Oklahoma State. They've got a 5-game homestand. And then they've got, what's technically a road game in Charleston against Marshall. And then they've got, 8 more home games in a row, including, Kansas State. They've got the Backyard Brawl on April 12th. This is their chance to make a big run. And if they're going to do it, they're going to do it behind that lineup, which has been much better than I think anyone expected. And big shouts to the starting center fielder, senior Casey Huff, who really a full-time starter for the first time in his career, hitting .358, leading the team in batting.
Got 11 RBIs, too, and 2 home runs. He's looking pretty good out there. Yeah. He's not getting enough attention.
Also leads the team in stolen bases. He's got a good glove. He's been much better than I think anyone could have expected so far this season in a big hole in the lineup at center field.
And this pitching staffs look good, too. You got Donato just threw a shutout.
Yeah.
Vance struggled a little bit, but you see...
But he's a senior, and he can get it done. He's an unorthodox guy, but he's a really, really good pitcher.
You got B.J. Myers, and you have Tanner Campbell showed a lot of flashes, too, as a freshman.
Yeah. We've got... So, tonight against Canisius at 6:30, and then tomorrow at 3, both at the Monongalia County Ballpark, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday against Oklahoma State, first home Big 12 series of the year. Friday, 6:30, 4 o'clock on Saturday, 1 o'clock on Sunday. Finally get into that groove for the first time. And it's just going to be really nice to get out there and see some baseball. And like I said, for fans that might want to pack it in after that really heartbreaking loss to Stephen F. Austin, I think it'd be a mistake. You got to get out there and see this team because they got a lot of talent.
We've seen a really low attendance there recently.
Yeah.
I'd say just go there. It's a great ballpark.
Yeah, even just go there to see the ballpark because it's so nice. I mean, God, they played at Hawley Field for a million years, and that was a dilapidated pile of crap. And now they got this glorious, pristine new stadium that I love. Like, people need to go out there. People need to see that place, even if it's just to see the ballpark.
And people, I grew up as an A's fan with the Oakland Coliseum.
Where the dugouts run with raw sewage during games.
This is a stadium for a college baseball team and a summer league team, and it is 30 times nicer than that.
At least 30 times.
Tell you have to go.
Yeah. As far as I know, no sewage in the dugouts, which is a plus. It's already an improvement over the Oakland Coliseum. I shudder thinking about it. But that's really all the time we have on DA Sports Super Sports Monday special Tuesday edition. I'm David Stabman alongside Chris Jackson. Thanks for watching, you guys.